everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. Happy hump day, whoop whoop. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Yes, I got a Halloween panel behind me. That is a panel that we currently have a few left in the shop for. Some of you have bought them already and have been waiting for me to do this video. And some of you just might have been holding off a bit. And some of you may have never seen it before. So this panel is actually from the line called Sophisticated Halloween by My Mind's Eye for Riley Blake Designs. It is so pretty. It is absolutely a beautiful Halloween line. A lot of people who aren't Halloween type people have been buying into the line because it is absolutely different and gorgeous. And this is one of two panels that are included in that line. And I gotta say, the other panel, Riley Blake did a free pattern for, and you made 24-inch pillows. This one is bunting, but there isn't any directions. So I thought I'd come at you and show you how to make this panel into this bunting. Isn't she gorgeous? Yep, I have to make two of them because the window that I'm going to be hanging this in the shop is a little longer than this. Okay, so I'll throw a picture up here right now just so you can see how it was hung. And I'm going to show you how to make this. Now I want to tell you I'm only focusing on the happy haunting with the raven. So just the triangles. We do have all of those little bottles, but I got something to talk about that here soon. But I also want to let you know, so I used the panel for the front, but on the back, super darling, it is part of a line called Black and Boo. It's by Canvas Studio for Benartex, yay. And the worst amount that it would take is 2 strips of 10.5 inches. I actually, because of the way I cut, it took 2 strips of 18.5. So that's still more than half a yard. So depending on where you buy your fabric and how you can purchase it, you'll either have to purchase, 2/3, 3/4, or a full yard. But anything bigger than 21 inches, depending on how you cut these triangles, okay? But isn't this particular backing, though, from Canvas, it's glow in the dark. Okay, so black and blue, that's purple. I wanted to throw a little purple in. Webby, I think it's called, and it will glow in the dark. So we have the cute, adorable panel on the front that we turned into bunting, and on the back we did the glow in the dark fun. I can't wait to hang this up in our shop, and then eventually, we'll take it down and hang it in our own homes. So you want to know how to go from this to this? Me too. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'll see you in just a sec. So the first thing that we're going to want to do to this beautiful panel is get it prepped. Isn't it fun? I absolutely love this. Now I want to tell you for this video am only going to be dealing with the triangles and the binding strip in the middle. Okay, all these lovely bottles we will talk about later. But we're going to be talking this video about how to put that bunting together with the triangles and the binding, okay? Love the Sophisticated Halloween bunting panel. Super cute, super love it. So let's get this prepped. Okay, first thing first, please iron it. As best as you can, get it nice and flat. Now, I'm not too worried about getting it square because we are going to be cutting it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the binding from the triangles, okay? So basically I'm going to turn this direction. All right. Okay. Get it nice and flat. Now, if you'll notice, on this side it does have a dotted line, and it does at the top where we talk about, well, inside this triangle, okay? Not so much on the black, but on the triangle. The rest of this, it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to cut with a rotary cutter. Want to get it nice and flat, and a ruler, because I want a straight line. Do you have to do this? No, you can use scissors, but I want to try and get it as straight as possible, because remember, I did not square it. So therefore, it's going to be there'll be parts of it that'll be just a little bit wonky, but I can try and manipulate as best as I can with my rotary cutter and my ruler. And I'm just going to simply cut along the ruler, laying it out onto the line. When I feel like it got a little cattywampus, I'm going to pull it down, and I'm going to just cut until I can't cut anymore. Okay, make sure it's good. Then I'm going to slide this down, and I will do this for both sides. Now when I lay my ruler on this again, I want to give myself a little bit so I know, what was straight, what I cut from, so that I can try and line it up as best as possible. And I can see that it gets a little wonky again up here, but remember, that's because I didn't square the panel first. I wasn't too concerned about doing that because of how much we're cutting it up. Make sure, whoop, yeah, I didn't get it all cut. So you want to check it before you move your ruler. There we go. And I'm just going to, there we go, cut it nice and off. There we go. So now we have, so far, these triangles that are separated. Okay. And I'll do it again. I'll just flip it around and do it again. Now this time, we have a little less to deal with over here, which is fine. Just make sure everything is straight. Okay, so now we have a few of the triangles over here, so I don't want to just toss it away because I'm going to need the ing. But the next part I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut right along the dotted line, and for this one I did use scissors. I just felt it was easier because there wasn't a lot to be manipulated, and keep steady under my rotary cutter and ruler. So I'm just going to cut right along that dotted line. And last but not least, there we go, I'm just going to give myself a nice straight edge. Whoop. It helps if you have a smaller ruler. I have to grab one for myself next time. And I just want a straight-ish edge on both sides. So I'm taking off of this selvage there. There's one. If it does help, you can always flip it over so you can see better. Either way, completely up to you. If you're wondering why I did that, it gets a little difficult sometimes to sew in with your selvage. So for me, my personal, preference on method, I go ahead and take them off. So now we have 2 strips of our binding, and off camera, what I will do is I will lay these right sides together and I will sew a straight line 1/4 inch, okay? Just adding them together, okay? So I'll do that off camera, but I'll talk about it later, because now we still want to keep cutting our lovely triangles. And for this, I found it easier for me to use my 12.5 inch ruler. So here we are. Now it doesn't matter which ruler you use. It is easier if you have a ruler that will span across of it. So put that back here. I'm trying to keep it nice and flat. There we go. And get this out of the way. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay, now as you know, I will tell you what I have found is not all the triangles are equal in size. Don't stress about it, trust me. If you do, it might drive you a little batty, no pun intended. So basically this stitch line, I don't want it to show when I stitch the white. Okay, I don't want people, now that's on you, maybe you do want it, maybe you'd be kind of cute. I didn't. So when I was cutting, I actually kind of did 1/8 of an inch inside the lining up the 1/8 of an inch line on the gray. Yes, it will show the dotted line out here. However, it won't, basically I'm almost cutting on it, okay? And so it's going to be hidden inside of the seam. So we're good. And I'm just simply going to, with every single letter, I'm going to sit here and cut this out. Now, we did talk, this one doesn't have 1/8 of an inch or a dotted line. So when I cut on those ones, I just kind of did the same thing. And I just lined up on the 1/8 of an inch. And notice that this 12.5 inch ruler goes across the whole thing, which made it really nice and easy. Okay, and I will leave that for another day. And I will do the same thing with the others. Now we have quite a number of them. So again, basically I'm cutting on, almost on the line, if not on the line of the dots. Okay. And this is just 3 on this one. Okay, that's scrippy scrap. So we have I, N, well, I probably want to do it the other way. G, N, and I. It really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we'll put them together how we want. But you'll notice I'm going to do it all off camera because I don't think you need to watch me cut every single one of these. But it's basically the same premise. Now, when I line up my 8" along this black end, okay, I'm cutting right on the line of the gray, which is completely fine. And so when I flip it over, I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut right with the gray line, okay? And that's all we're going to do all the way through until we are completely finished. Look at that. Look at the selvage. If you're into collecting selvage, these are so super cute. And I'm just going to go all the way through all the letters and of course our crow here. So I'll get this done off camera, and I will also get these sewn, okay? Right sides together, 1/4 inch. That's all we need to do. And if you're wondering, I'm going to press it open, okay? Just to eliminate some bulk. I'll show you what I've done when we go to that step, but I'm going to get these done off camera, and we do have some more cutting to do. So I will see you guys in just a sec. I did notice that my camera was doing something a little wonky, so I think I fixed it. Hope this works better. This is a 12.5" square, not the rectangle that you were seeing, and these look a little iffy too. Okay, so what I wanted to point out, this is the one that I was cutting from the new strips, the ones I started with you. And if you'll notice, I have a big white area. When I very first started cutting them, I went ahead and cut. I was worried that this was not a 1/4 inch, right? So I was worried that the binding wouldn't cover it all. So what I did was I went through and I cut all of these at an eighth of an inch from the top. You can do that now, you can do it later, or you cannot do it at all, because what I went and did is I measured the binding, and it is actually going to be like 3/4 inch in. So there's plenty of space. Okay, you don't have to do that. So 2 of mine, they're both going to be a little different. It's fine. Now, I personally wanted to put a backing to it, and I chose this. This is from Benartex. We have this on our website. It's from the line called Black and Boo, and it glows in the dark. So I thought, how fun. Plus I wanted to interject a little purple, and I thought this was a great way to do it. And these will all the spider webs are going to glow in the dark, which I think is totally fun. You can choose any backing or not do a backing at all. That is completely up to you, but I wanted a backing. So how do we do this? Okay, well, the first thing you're going to want to do is measure across. If you don't cut anything off, you need to make sure that you're going to cut your strips a good length that will be as long or longer than the triangles, okay? Like this one actually is 9 5/8, okay? Kind of a weird number. So I would personally cut it at 9 3/4 and go from there. But because I did all of these and I cut them down, when you measure them, this one's barely over 9 1/4. Some of them were a little longer. Remember, I said they're not all the same direction. So I went ahead and cut 2 9.5" strips. So even if you cut 10" strips, 9.5, whatever it is between 9.5 and 10 if you want a backing. 10 plus 10 is 20, so you're still going to need at least 2/3 of a yard or 3/4. Depends on how you can purchase it, or a yard, right? Depending on how you can purchase your backing. But I went ahead and cut 2 strips, okay? So I'm going to show you how I got it started, and I'm going to work from this side because I have 9.5 inch strips, okay? This will require me to cut bigger strips, which I will do off camera for another time. Yep, I'm making 2 with you. Whoop, whoop. Super fun. Love it. Okay. And as you see, I have done some of them, okay? So I'm going to show you how I got here, and then we'll talk about the binding, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, so how did we get there? So basically, I'm going to take my strip, okay, and I'm going to put it right side facing up, and I'm going to keep these in order. I don't know why. It's just my brain, just how it works. And you can see I cut about 1/8 of an inch from the dotted line, okay? But basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to start. It doesn't really matter which way, but the backing fabric is facing up, and the wonderful triangle that we did is facing down. So the right sides are facing together. If you forget, it's not the end of the world. However, it will make life easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up my ruler with my triangle, so that I'm going to cut the backing material in the same size, okay? And I'll pull it away for now. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around just because I'm right-handed and I can't think upside down, okay? just being real. All right, and then I'm just going to take my ruler, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that other side off. And then I'm just going to simply move it out of the way. So we've got ourselves a nice angle still. So I'm going to take my next block, okay, and I'm just going to lay it. Whoops, that's not how I'm going to lay it. So if you notice, if I did this, I'm going to waste a lot of fabric, right? I want to utilize as much of the fabric as I can. So I'm going to lay it in such a way that I'm just getting one angle, and it doesn't have to be too perfect, but I am getting one side is on here, and I just have to cut the other side. So then I will simply take my ruler again, lay it down so that it's going to cut the backing fabric, trying not to shave the triangle, and give myself a cut and move it out of the way. Okay, go to the next one. Now this one will flip upside down. Whoops. Because that way I'm utilizing the fabric to the best of its potential. I don't want to waste too much fabric, okay? And you will do these with all of your letters. Or, I'm sorry, all of your triangles, because some of them have pictures, or at least one. So I'm just laying it on there, and I'm going to cut. Now, why do I not lay them all out? Let me just show you really quick. It would be pretty efficient, and maybe we can do it. It just makes me nervous. Things shift. Whoops. See, got to get the right angle here. So all right. If I were to go ahead and lay the next one down, it makes me nervous because I don't know, I can't see what's there. Now I could simply lay them somewhat close and then cut, but again, I like to not waste too much fabric. So one at a time has worked best for me, but whatever works best for you, that's the method that you choose, okay? So I will get the rest of these off camera cut up, and I will come back at you for the next step. So I'll see you guys in just a bit. I have all of the rest of mine cut out and in a pile ready to go. I do have one more prep before we start sewing, but I want you to notice, yeah, I've got Jack here. I've got some thread snips. I actually do have a blade saver on board. I do have scissors and a marking tool with a small ruler, okay? Now, I'm not very good at determining a 1/4 inch from anywhere, okay? It's either too big, too small, whatever, right? So I like to give myself a little mark on my fabric to allow me to know exactly where I'm going to stop, okay, and pivot. And I'm going to take you into the sewing machine. We're going to do this together. But basically all I'm doing is lining up a 1/4 inch along all the way through, and I'm just going to mark one side. I'm going to go ahead and flip her around. Now this is disappearing ink, so I will only usually do one at a time. Okay, and I'm going to do it again, and it won't matter where I line this up, it'll always mark in that same spot. And I'm just going to show you here what happens. Okay, so I've got a line going here and a line going here, and right there is about the place that I'm going to pivot. Okay, I won't do anything that is perfect because I'm not concerned about it, but that gives me a good eyeball way of knowing, I'm going to make that line a little darker, where exactly I am going to stop. Okay, so I just want to make it a little darker. I'm already starting to have trouble seeing it. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna do that to eat, not with the disappearing ink all at the same time. Maybe you are using a different marking tool and it won't go away, and you can sit and do all of the little marks if you need it, because if you'll notice, this is actually a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch. It's probably more like a half. Oh no, it's bigger than that. It's like 3. Well, here, let me turn this correctly. All right, it's about, yes, 3/4 of an inch away ish. Okay, so it's not exactly a 1/4, and that kind of is important. So I'm going to take you under the sewing machine and show you this first one and one right behind it, because I will chain piece these. So I'll be with you in just a sec at the sewing machine. So we're going to start on the end. Now I've already done one, so I can give myself a leader ender, hoping that my machine does not eat my fabric. We know how that goes. So I'm going to simply start at the top, at the wide part, and I'm going to start on one side. The side that I marked is on top, okay, and I'm going to try and hit that point, or roughly thereabout. So I'm going to go a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to back stitch, and I'm going to go ahead. I am set at a 1/4 inch. Okay, we're getting close now. I'm going to go right to where I can see, and I'm going to spin it, stop, lift it up, but my needle is still down, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it over and go the other direction, making sure everything stays nice, flat, and straight. And when I get to the end, I'm going to do a little back stitch again. Okay, then I'm going to grab my next one, which I've already marked. And then you can see that I'm able to chain piece all of these together. Now, after this one, I have to mark. So I'm going to finish this one again with you. So again, we'll do a little back stitch. Okay, when I think I'm about where I'm at, oh, I can feel it bunching up back there. I want to make sure I'm just staying flat for this purpose. Taking it to about where I think is that place. I'm going to go ahead and spin, and I'm going to go the other direction. When I get to the end, I'll back stitch. We are messing with bias, so don't pull too hard. Be gentle. We'll do a little back stitch. And you'll do that with each one of them, and then we'll go to the next step. So I'll see you in just a sec. So the first thing I did was I separated my chains, and then the next part, there's a lot of bulk down here, guys. Okay, so what you have is, this is the point, so you have all this fabric up here. Okay, so what I do is I then take my trusty fabric scissors, and I simply come in closer. I'm going to say probably 1/8 of an inch, okay, from both sides. So we come in a little close, and then we come out, and it helps give away some of that bulk. Now, you don't want to get too close, because, ask me how I know, you will poke a hole through this. If that just so happens, then you can go ahead and I would turn it right side this way again and restitch, okay? But after you cut all of your triangles, you're simply going to take your triangles and put them right side out. And I use a turning tool that is made by Clover. It's also got a hair marker on it. This happens to be my favorite. You could use a purple thing. You can use even a cuticle pusher, you know, the things that you push. And you're just going to simply push all of this out. Okay, and you want to be careful not to poke a hole through it. And what I'm doing is I'm just going along the seam line. And I will tell you, it won't get real pointy because of all the bulk, and that is a really sharp point. But this is a great time to sit down at the, on your sofa or your couch or your favorite chair and listen to your favorite podcaster or watch your favorite movie, and sit through all of these and just get them all pushed out. And remember not to push too hard, because it will put a hole in it. Ask me how I know. Yep, I've done it. Not the end of the world, but then you have to go and fix it, and that's just more time on this, right? It does take a little bit of finagling, and I'll finagle more off camera. And like I said, if you really want it pointy, you're going to have to work a little bit at it. I tend to just go with the flow because I'm okay with that. But I'm going right along that seam, right on the inside, and just trying to push it out. Okay. And once you have all of these cut and pushed out, we're going to go to the next step. Okay. So the next step will be about pressing it, which then I will also talk about more about the binding that we first started with. I did go ahead while I was sitting at the sewing machine and I stitched the two together, and I have, it's a 1/4 inch seam, okay, and I just simply pressed it with my fingers open. I will hit it with an iron before we manipulate it more, but it's easier for me if I do a finger press first because it helps lay that seam open. So I'm going to get all my letters prepped, getting them all turned, and we will then go and I'll meet you at the cutting board and for the next step. I'll see you in just a sec. So here we have our blocks that still need pressed. I did get started and got 2 of them done. I do have a clover, the turning tool, on board while I'm doing this, just in case I feel like I need to poke some more. So what I actually do is I finger press the first one, and I don't want any of the backing to show. Okay. And I'm just getting it settled in, using my fingers to line everything up, and then checking the front. I like it. I'm just going to simply go ahead and press. Okay, and that's it. So I will do that to each one of these, and I'll put it in that pile, and I'll just go through and finger press. Okay, get the other side. When it gets up to the edge, sometimes it likes to go out, so I get my finger in there and get it nice and pretty and flat. I'm just going to go ahead and press this one side. And I think I can get the other one. Boom. Whoop. That was scary. You can press from both if you so desire, but we're just going to want to get them pressed out, okay? So you'll do that to each of your blocks. Now, you'll see up here I've got some dog ears, okay? If you so desire, you may go ahead and clip those off with some scissors or a rotary cutter. I've even got a little fraying going on, so I'll probably clean that up, okay? All right, so that's what you do with all of your letters and your raven, okay? The next thing I did want to talk about is our binding. So I told you that I finger pressed here in the center, so I'm just going to take my iron and go right over top of it. Okay, get it nice and flat. It's best if you let it cool because it will reorganize the memory to lay flatter. Put your clapper on top, however you want to do it, but I do want to keep the video moving. So the next thing I'll do is I will take this entire length of this binding, and I would fold it in half. Now I'm just going to show you part of it here, so you don't have to watch me iron this whole thing. Okay. Now, what we're going... Jeez Louise. Okay. It's scaring the Watusi out of me. Okay. So what we're going to do from here is eventually here we're going to fold it into the fold line. There is a fold line that you can see. You're going to fold one edge to the fold line, and then you will fold this edge to the fold line. Okay, so I'm going to do that real quick, but I'm going to show you something that I like to do. It's caught over there. Okay, so then I would do the other side in, and the other side it's much easier. Let's see if I flip this. We go in, we go in. I like to do the one side and then the other because I find that it makes it easier. It's just my preference. Okay, now whenever we're hanging this, we don't want raw edges. Okay, so I have one finished here, and I'm just going to show you real quick what I do. So if you'll notice, there is no raw edge. I'm not sure how well you can see it. Need to clip the threads. Okay, but I don't have any raw edges, and it stays there. Okay, I don't have to worry about it. Now you'll see I did fold it in half. Okay, I pressed it in half and gave myself a crease line, and I've got both of these going towards it. And eventually what we're going to do is we're going to fold it over again, and our triangles are going to fit very nicely right inside. Okay, you can get a picture here. Okay, so that's what's going to help us hang our triangles as bunting. Okay, doesn't that look good? I can't wait. Okay, so how do I do this, right? Because this makes it so much easier that I don't have to concern myself anymore. It stays in there. If I just simply folded and folded, okay, it's going to want to come undone. Okay, so what I do, all right, we've got them both in there. So what I'm first going to do is I'm just going to fold down this edge just a bit, like a 1/4 inch. Okay, and I'm going to take some glue. I use Roxanne's Glue Based It. Okay, that's my favorite glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit on it, just a nice little line. I'm going to flip it back over, and I'm going to go ahead and press it again. Okay, now it is dry and it is staying nice and flat. Okay, then because I've already done the initial folding in, okay, what I'm going to do is just take a little glue. My crease line is right here. Okay, so I want to stay inside the crease line over here too. Okay, put a little glue, and I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to go in on one side, in on the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and press it, and now my corner is staying nice and flat and together. That's the most important thing. And when I go to stitch, it's not coming undone. Okay, I wanted to share that little tip and trick because that's exactly what I did with this binding. Okay, and then as you will see later, we will be stitching this all the way down. So it's real important that you go all the way through first in half, so you give yourself a nice line. Okay, and I don't crisscross or overlap the two. Let me pull this down, probably be easier. I do not overlap these. I keep them pretty close together, maybe a little gap. A little gap's fine, but the idea is that they're basically the same size, so when you fold it over, it will be correct. Okay, there's where my joining is, and you just want to go all the way through. All right, and then I did the same thing with the glue down here, so it is going to stay nice and pretty and closed for me so that I don't have to worry about it. And then when we're done, we're going to have a nice clean edge, no raw edges involved in there, so that it never unravels. Okay, so I'm going to get the rest of my triangles pressed, and I'm going to take you to the next step. It's a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys in just a sec. Now that we have the binding ready and the triangles, right? Now it's time to start to assemble them. So I want to share with you what I did, and it was easier for me to do it with pictures and just talking you through it. So the first thing I did was I decided on how much of a tail that I wanted on each side, and I chose 6 inches just so I have enough to tie it around something or hook to something. At any rate, 6 inches on either side. So I basically folded the end 3 inches and clipped it. So that's what this picture is showing you. I did it to both ends. So I equally took 6 inches off each end for a total of 12 inches off of it. Now, I don't like to measure, guys. As much as I can, I do not like to measure. So what I did was I then laid it out and I figured out how many triangles there were, which there are 14. Pretty easy, because that means 7 goes on one half and 7 goes on the other half. Pretty good, right? So then what I did, what is middle? Middle is between the H and the A in haunting, okay? So basically, I knew that the middle of my binding was where the seam was. I actually folded it in half and just checked it to be sure, and sure enough, halfway was where the seam was, where I joined them together, okay? So I just made sure that the place where the H and A have a little place where they connect was in the middle. So this picture shows it all laid out, and I was just kind of eyeballing to see how much I need to overlap, what looks good, making sure that I went from the center out. So once I had the H, the next one was, as you can see, it was the raven, and all the way back, and then I did it to the other direction, okay? So I just made sure that I started in the middle and worked out, and I didn't go past where I want it to hang from, the extra tails, okay? So I kept the clips on there. Then what I did is I went through and I pinned each of them together, because I do overlap. That way they all fit well in between the tails, okay? There had to be some overlapping going on. Perfectly fine. It's going to work great. It looks fantastic. So that's what you see. Now, if you notice, the pins are coming from the heads of the pins are coming from the top. Okay, I still don't have it with the binding. I'm going to attach the binding at the same time, okay? So the heads of the pins are on the top of it, which would be in the way of the fold. So I'm going to bring you into another camera, and I'm going to show you basically what I did to get this thing started. I will also tell you it took me a 5/8 seam to get it lined up exactly where I want it. And I'll show you that when I go into the sewing machine camera. But for now, let me pull you over and let me show you how I prepped getting started, and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you in just a sec. Bringing you in and showing you more about what I've done. So you saw the picture with this laying above it, and these were all pinned. The first thing I did is I went through and I pinned them the opposite direction. So instead of my pins going this way, which would be in the way of the binding, I went ahead and pinned them the opposite direction. Okay, that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did is I drew a line to what would be about 6 inches. I just took my little marking tool here. I had it folded up and I just drew a line. Okay, that's all I did, so that I knew where to start my triangles at, so that I would still have a tail, that 6-inch tail. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold it over. Okay. And I'm going to put a clip right here for now. That's going to be in the way. Let's not do that. Okay, let me grab a pin. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it the opposite direction. And the reason is, as you will see, I'm loading it this direction on my machine. That way the triangles are facing away and not towards the sewing machine. So I have plenty of space and I won't have to worry about them getting cattywampus. You could do it the other way. Just know that when you do, you're going to have your triangles inside the throat space. And see, my throat space is really tiny, so I wanted to give myself more room. So I'm going to load it this direction, and that's why I pick a 5/8 so that it climbs about 1/8 of an inch out here and grabs everything and make it clean. I've also loaded a black thread. I'm matching the color of the binding naturally. So it's going to be hard to see the stitches, but you'll be able to see the process. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the sewing machine, and this is the last step, guys. This is the absolute last step, just getting it all sewn in together and going from there. So I will see you guys in just a second. As you see, I've started to load this. This is on a 5/8. It gives me about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more from the edge here, and everything's going to, as you'll see, it's all coming out this direction. I did a leader ender in hopes that it won't cause any issues at the start here. I did load a walking foot, and the reason is I started to sew and it wasn't helping. it wasn't gonna keep going, and I still brought my trusty tweezers just in case I need to give it a little help. I will say I've loaded this seam guide right where my finger can be hit by the needle bar. So if you do anything like I do, just be careful, because this sucker comes down and it smarts, okay? But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and do a back stitch to start, and just keep stitching along. Okay, I'm getting a little crooked, I can see it. So if you have a stiletto, you can certainly work with a stiletto, especially especially underneath that needle bar. Okay, so as I'm getting closer, that pin that you see is where my block starts, okay? And I'm going to want to make sure that everything underneath is where it needs to be. And as I get closer into the screen here, I'm going to show you a little bit more. Okay. All right. I feel like I need to pull this down because it's not guiding well. Okay. And if I was smart, guys, I would have glued this, just to be real. So when I'm lining this up, I am making sure that the edge is actually in the center and lined up. And I'll keep showing here in just a second. Now, it's a beautiful thing when your pin to start isn't in the way. And I'm going to go to the edge of the pin before I pull it out. Okay. Because I'm going to show you, I just keep making sure that all of this is lining up in the center, okay? It's important that we keep them straight. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull the pin out. Okay. And I have more pins to go, because remember, I've pinned each one of these. Okay. Now, as I'm getting closer, you're starting to see the H, and I can see further down. All right. And we're just going to keep on stitching. And what I'll do, as soon as I cross over, I will speed the video up. And I'm sorry my hands are in the way. It's just a habit for me. There we go. I'm trying to keep it all straight. Now, I have it overlapped, but everything, I just got to make sure everything is staying straight in the center, and I'm pulling that right over. And as soon as I get close to that pin, I know that I'm touching both the white and the black, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the pin. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this video up. So that you can not have to sit here for ages. Okay, here we go. Okay, what I want you to notice is I have a pin right here, and this is where my seam is. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. And although I'm not perfect, okay, because when you look at it, here is the seam, and if it went straight, I'm a little bit off. I'm probably about 1/8 of an inch off. I'm okay with that, guys. But it's a good indicator on whether or not you are pulling too hard or not, you know, or not keeping it straight. I'm pretty happy with what's going on here. Okay, I'm coming up to the end, and when I get a little closer, and I think it's in the camera, yep, okay, so here is my line. I've gone over 1/8 of an inch, just like somehow I started cattywampus, right? Because at the middle I was off about 1/8 of an inch. This is not going to make or break us. I'm very, very happy. So as we finish, I just want to make sure that she is straight. And I prefer this to be down. And I still don't feel like she's all the way down, so I'm going to pull her out for just a bit. Whew. For whatever reason, she likes to make it so that the backing is going to show, and I might just let it, let it ride. Not get too persnickety. It's supposed to be fast and fun when we're done. All right, make sure one more time. Yep, we are lined up. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to let it ride instead of getting too bogged down. And then I'm going to make sure she stays nice and straight to the end. We are off of the triangles. We are now sewing together this tail. And when I get to the end, I will backstitch just like we did at the beginning. I feel like I'm going to go a little bit crooked, so I'm going to grab my tweezers that I'm using as a stiletto and try to get in here nice and straight. Do a little back stitch. And cut threads. Let's see how we did. Here we are. Got my nice little tail. You can make it longer, shorter, whatever floats your boat. But I wanted to show you up close before we come back at you. Super cute. Love it. Now, if you wanted the little guy to come down further, you would just have to make sure that you left yourself enough at the top. And this triangle would be even longer per se, but then you wouldn't cut his hat off. I'm good. I just wanted something fast and easy. There is my seam, and of course, like I said, it's off by 1/8. Not a big deal. So that is the front side, along with the extra tail here. And look at the back. Super cute. I've got some threads. We got to clip some threads. Super cute, guys. And this part will glow in the dark. How cool is that? Isn't that just super darling? So, love this. How fun. Let me come back at you so we're face to face, and I'll see you in just a sec. So I hope that was fun for you as it was for me. It is a fast project. It truly does not take that long. Yeah, I like to wear it. I think it's so cool. I will tell you, I tied a little knot so I can slip a little hook through it to allow it to hang. Just so cute, so cute. Absolutely love it. How cool is this? So super cute, so super fun, and not too hard. Now again, we did focus on all those triangles, but I'm going to let you know I got a little something to do with those bottles. They're so cute. So we'll take a look at that today live at I almost said 3 p.m. live today at 7 p.m. this evening, as we're still in Shop Hop season. So I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Why? Because I'm in Virginia. And during that live Q&A, I'll share with you what I have planned to do with those bottles. Now, you can always add it without any challenges, really, just more overlapping. You can add one bottle, you can add 2 bottles, one at the beginning, one at the end. You can add one in the middle. You can have a lot of fun with these. But I just wanted to focus right on the bunting itself so I could show you how this was done. But, yeah, I got it all twisted. So much fun! At any rate, I'll see you today or this evening at 7 p.m. But until next time, I hope you really enjoyed this one. But until next time, may you all continue to be inspired, productive, ever so joyful, never stop believing, and never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. We love y'all. Happy quilting, happy bunt making, happy Halloween. See y'all soon. Love ya.